Hello people off the internet. So today's the day I'm going to do this diesel heater. Now all I've done so far is put the vehicle on ramps. The next thing is, and I made a wee cardboard template. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, you'll have seen that the other night. By the time this goes live, a couple of weeks ago. So talking of which, follow me on Instagram, that'd be fantastic. So I'm going to start taking the passenger driver's seat out and fit that in. Put that to one side, lift the carpet back, and the next job obviously is to take off the fuel sender unit. I'll take it out, disconnect it, and drill in my holes for the fuel line because I'm going to do it directly in. So I'm going to use my head mount so you can see what I'm doing, hopefully, if I get the angles right. And so let's get started. I'll probably, because it's a little bit windy, what I'm going to do then is probably do a voiceover over the top of it just to walk you through it. So let's get started. Okay, so things you're going to need: block of wood, that's to help you knock out your fuel sender unit, a round bastard file, hacksaw to cut your fuel line that's going to go into the sender unit, a drill with various drill bits, and a socket set, and obviously a tape measure, which I'll get later. My Chinese diesel heater, it's all in there. Set of instructions and the various bits and pieces. Now if these fail me, these Jubilee clips, if they fail me, I do have another set. I did buy this because I thought I had a heat plate, but I've got silicone under there, and I've already created, ignore those, I've already created a cutout template for the system to go in under the seat. So the first thing to do then is to remove the seat. Let's get that out of the way. So I'm going to need this, and then once we've done that, I'm going to need this to get the fuel sender unit out. Also a bucket to put your fuel sender unit in once you've got your seats, once you've got it out. So you need to rest it in there. So let's just crack on. So 15mm wrench, and we're going to get under the seat. I don't know how much of that you'll see. Let's get this undone. Let's tighten. Let's undo. No, that's tighten. All right. Seat out. Again, just clips on and off. And it's over here. So, seat number 2 to come out. Forgot about that bit. Okay, there's going to be a little bit of a, let me see. Now over here. Oh, wrong side. Over here, Darren. Alright, so this bloody thing is a wind protector. Now I'd like to get a spacer for it to raise it off my head a bit more, but it keeps appearing, so I can only apologise for that. It's a windsock for the microphone, so just stops it blowing. Now mine, my cover's not pretty. Oh fuck. I have tried to source replacements, but the previous owner had a fake fuel tank in this, so he used to put red diesel in a separate tank, but when he got dipped in the fuel tank he'd have normal diesel, so he's a crafty bugger. So if anybody knows where to source a replacement one of these, I'd be happy to have a conversation with you. There we go. Lush. What the hell sort of job has he done there? Anyway, so we disconnect the fuel lines. I'm going to get a marker. It should be easy to identify actually. One's got a Jubilee clip and one has the original clips. So that one goes to that one, and that one. So that's your fuel out, and that's your return fuel in, and that's your fuel sensor switch. Look at this, more shite. Right, so we're going to hammer this out, disconnect this, well, disconnect these first, hammer this out, and then hopefully just lift out the fuel sender, and then we can drill a hole in it and put my new fuel line in. So without further ado, let's go get a screwdriver. Oh, we have one here. Let's do this. Twist the drill bit, not the drill. I'll go get some pliers. Right, the next thing you'll see is this all removed. And then we'll start tapping this out. Right, bit of brute force and determination. Just basically manoeuvring between clips to nip that and push it off. So it's quite smooth. Right, so let's start the knocking out of this, shall we? I think I've got a piece that's too feckin' big, to be honest. It's been sat in the garden for years as a spare. Knocked about 40 spiders off it. Yeah, it's going to be too big. I'm going to get a smaller piece of. I've got some spare plywood. It's probably not the greatest idea. Maybe not. Well, we can but try. Words not budging, springing to mind. Hey, you got to budge. Okay, I'm conscious I've got a lot of wood chips and bits in there, so I'm just going to go get my little Ryobi Hoover and just give it a quick blast. Hey buddy! Now I have heard these are spring mounted. I don't get that sense yet. No. Right. Let's go get the bucket so we can transfer that into the bucket and not make a mess of everything. You over there. You over there. Okay, I have really bad audio in this video because I took the windsock thing off because it was just making a mess of the video. So I've decided to do a voiceover instead. So this is me just telling you about, there's the alignment. You can see it there just on the white casing, and that lines up with a black arrow on the fuel tank. So you just want to make sure that those are lined up when you put it back in. So that's me just reiterating that. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is get the bucket, which I put a bin bag in, and I'm going to gently lift this sender unit out. Just be mindful of the fuel gauge leveler that sits in there. You don't want to yank that out and then pull that off and drop it in your fuel tank, because that is just no end of hell. So just letting the diesel drip off, getting the bag in position, and then gently easing this thing in. Now I'm trying to see if I can move that arm out of the way so as not to bend it, and it's just not doing it. So I'm now just going to rest it in gently as best I can. Okay, that's it down, just drop it in there. Quick wipe off, and you can see the dirt and the grime that's in there all around the plugs. Now, one of the problems that I've found on YouTube is that everybody that's done a fuel tank, fuel lead into their fuel tank has been a VW-T5, which hasn't been very helpful. So this is a T4, and so I'm pretty much having a crack at this myself, just wiping all the crap off around it, being conscious not to drop any of that into the bucket. You want to make sure that you keep everything clean underside, which is why I'm wearing gloves, because you don't want fuel all over your fingers as well. Right, so what I'm doing is thinking about where the hell am I going to position this fuel line into this fuel sender unit. I need to drill a hole in it somehow and drop a line through that, but not too far down that I'd accidentally leave my van running dry with the diesel heater taking all the fuel out. So you don't want to do that. So you can see here how fragile that arm is. It's just basically thinner than a coat hook, our coat hanger. So pop that back in, and then let's move on to the next step, which is drilling a hole into it so that I can get the fuel line through it. So I'm just looking underneath. Where's the best position to do that it won't interfere with the mechanics of the fuel sender unit? And we're going to take it over to my workbench in a second and do what we can do as best we can do it. Okay, step 2. What we have here is the fuel line that they provide in the diesel heater. Now, it has a large cap, washer kind of thing. I don't know what sort of fuel tank this was designed for. So in my thinking was, if I can trim that off or even knock that nut off, I could potentially use the fuel line that they provided and just drill a hole and secure it using that nut, because no other nut in the bag fitted. So I actually took the whole thing down to my hardware store, and they tried to get a screw to fit, and it wasn't a standard M-type screw, so the threads were no good. So I was only left with one choice: try and hacksaw that thing off. Needless to say, I couldn't do it. It was a waste of time, but I did use some of that pipe, and I'll show you why. You can see there why I wanted to use it. It's got a nice curve to it, which would have sat nicely over the top of the fuel sender unit. Look at me trying to work out how to get this in, but I didn't go down that route, and I'll show you what route I did go down. So within the kit itself, there's the plastic fuel tank, and they provide you with a fuel line link to that fuel tank. So you can see that I've rested the screw on, the nut inside, which I found was a suitable position, and I'm looking for a corresponding drill head to go along with it. So I'm just drilling a quick pilot hole through the middle, and I've snuck it in there, that's not right in there, so that it doesn't turn. So when nearly wrecked it. So that when I do put the fuel line through and have the bolt underneath, I don't have to have a spanner to hold it down. I've made that hole as snug as I possibly can so that the nut doesn't turn when I'm attaching the screw at the top. So make sure you get all the plastic crap out of the way. You don't want any of that in your fuel tank, because it will block your van's fuel system. So I've got the other end, that works fine. Need to make sure that hole fitted through snug. Just a larger bit of a drill bit, get that on. I think I used a wood screw for this one, a wood drill bit. Changing heads, just make the hole a little bit bigger so that I can get the plastic fuel tank bits through that hole there. Okay, a little bit of a drill, didn't take much effort. Now, the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to drop the fuel line through in its entirety, That's it. Stick that through. So I'm going to feed that fuel line as well through the hole that the attachment has, just for continuity basically. Less cuts in the pipe. So that fits perfectly. Get the screw in, put the bolt on the top, secure everything together. So I'm feeding the fuel line through. I'm going to take a thicker element of the fuel line, the black rubber that comes with it. So then I can cut a length of the metal fuel pipe and attach that just to make sure that it drops and keeps steady and straight. Okay, here I'm measuring where the fuel gauge, as you can see here, there's a little gauge on the side of the fuel sender. I'm seeing where that is in respect to the level to quarter full, or well, not even quarter full, 1/8 full. And I want to make sure that this length of pipe doesn't go beyond that, because I really don't want my diesel heater to suck the tank dry. So I wake up nice and toasty and warm, and then I have to live there because I can't move. Okay, because I've left the tank empty. So I'm just being really careful. I'm scoring the metal pipe, and I'm also leaving a little marker while I go get something to secure this down so I can cut it to the right length. Then I'll feed it back up, and that's it secure. So I've put everything back together. Everything's connected, dropped the pipe in, dropped the fuel sender in, reconnected everything, and then fed the cable underneath over the top of the tank. So the fuel pipe actually curves around the fuel sender unit and it drops. You can just see a bit of ground clearance there. And the pipe just slots through that, and then you can feed it through. And what I've done in the short term is just plastic tie it underneath until episode 2. So you'll catch that next week. If you like and subscribe and hit the bell button, you'll be notified of when it goes live next Sunday at 12. So see you then. Okay, bye.